the city of Los Angeles' fire department is working on the Palisades fire. And then there's this second fire in Altadena that's broken out. That's right, we're talking about two different fires at this point. The Eaton Fire is the one in Altadena. LA County Fire handling that one. We have standing by here David Acuna. He spoke with us about an hour ago. David is from CAL FIRE. David, thanks for sticking around. We just want to make sure we're covering all our bases as we traverse the night here. It's a rapidly developing situation. Last we talked, the Eaton Fire had just started. Any updates as of now?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it just updated to now it's 4.
Of course, but this also causes communication challenges as well, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, in a number of different ways. First of all communication towers operate on the basis of electricity. So if power lines in the area end up being severed by the fire, now there's no power. The backup generators certainly are in place, but at the same time, being that most cell phone and radio towers are at the top of hills, that puts them very vulnerable to a fire that rapidly progresses uphill.
When we talk about a rapidly moving situation like this, how do officials keep track of how this thing grows? How are they even able to measure the acreage of a fire in real time? How do they get it done?
Well, we have a lot of really good firefighters, fire captains, battalion chiefs who go out there and they're able to, in the first hour or two of time, they're able to look and estimate it. However, after a while, we have a remote sensing aircraft either on contract or we own by the state that is able to fly over and map it with infrared mapping, as well as determining what the size of the fire is. And if you look at our website at fire.ca.gov, we have populated that map that shows what the current fire size is and where there's significant fingers, especially on the Palisades fire where the embers are being blown quite a distance.
Yeah, so we see the map on our screen right now. And the orange is going to be the burn scar from the Palisades fire. One might assume that this will only expand and expand as the hours go by. What direction are the winds blowing, and what direction is this burn scar going to move as time progresses?
That really depends on how the winds travel. If they were to stay exactly the direction that they're currently going, it would progress in the way we see. However, if they shift to a more easterly route, then it's going to progress more towards more populated areas, which is entirely possible. The officials that are at scene are currently looking very closely at how the winds are moving on a moment-to-moment basis so they can begin to plan on where to protect the homes and, of course, most importantly, the people.
We know very well how populated this area is where the Palisades fire is burning. How about the Eaton Fire? How close is that one to structures?
So the Eaton Fire is already in and around structures. That's why we have the evacuation warnings and the evacuation orders. And it just depends on how we define structures. Sometimes we talk about them being like the electrical vaults, the generators we talked about with the repeaters. Sometimes it's a shed or a barn, and of course, sometimes they are homes.
Let's talk about some really wild images that we just saw live on our air moments ago, as it appeared a group of people were evacuating away from the danger zone with horses. Can you describe the chaos? And these pictures do a pretty damn good job of showing the chaotic situations that these people go through. But can you put it in your own words, what these people go through and what these families go through, what these animals go through when they are rushed out of these neighborhoods in these situations?
Austin, I completely agree. I don't think that I have any words that could do justice to that, how that difficult that family is on moving their horses out. What I can say is that it is clear that they did some pre-planning to make sure that their pets, and in this case livestock, were prepared to evacuate. Now, while they're walking them out, because they may or may not be able to get their horse trailer out, at least they have a destination, and that's the most important part of the pre-plan.
So what is, and maybe this is a good time to talk about this, the winds are not going to be dying down in the immediate future. What advice do you have for LA, Southern California residents who are living in areas that are prone to fires?
Well, as we've already discussed, the National Weather Service is predicting that we're going to have these red flag conditions that are particularly dangerous from Ventura all the way to San Diego. So for everyone to be highly aware of what's going on, again, navigating to our website, fire.ca.gov. You can also navigate to readyforwildfire.org, where we have tips on evacuation plans, making an evacuation go bag. But most importantly is to make sure that they've planned to get themselves out as early as possible. So even if it's an evacuation warning, it's okay to leave early, particularly if you know that you've got a narrow one-way road or maybe just a two-lane road to get in and out. As we mentioned last hour, that large engines have to pass through there. If they can evacuate before the engines begin to make the streets congested, that's just going to make it easier for everyone involved, and which means ultimately safer.
We've already seen in the span of 2 hours, one extra fire break out. It's not out of the realm of possibility that we see more breakout overnight.
Well, unfortunately, 95% of all wildfires are started by humans. And so we just ask people to be very diligent to do one less spark, and it's a national program. As right now, if there were somebody who wanted to do some brush clearing, or they were looking to burn some of the hazard reduction fuels on their property, we're going to ask them not to do that right now. The winds are just too high. It's too easy for it to get out of control, so that our firefighters can focus on their current fires and not have to respond to new ones.
David Acuna of CAL FIRE, we appreciate everything you guys are doing. We'll be keeping up soon.
Thank you, sir.